Yo, Oi and yo. That's yo backwards. For those of you that didn't know, you can go ahead and record that, play it back with the reverse, and it'll sound like I just said yo for a millionth time. Hope you're having an amazing Monday, and welcome to The Bakery with Young DZ, Young D-Boy, D-Nut, Young Soul, T-Nuts. I don't know why I just went on such a tangent like that, but today with me is the Midwestern Marth himself, Team Spire's own Reeve, and I'm so blessed to have you here. Reeve, what's going on, my man? Welcome to the show.
Yo, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Of course, man. Pleasure's all ours, and I'm really glad you can make it out here today. So the first thing, this is kind of like standard for the show. We like to do one of these little introductions. So I guess we'll start it out with, how much did you bench today?
Well, today I just did my normal routine, 245 for 4 sets. 8 reps each. So yeah, I'm not really like strength training per se.
No.
But I'm trying to hit that like bigger rep range,
I feel that, and by feel that I mean like I can feel my muscles tensing and yelling at me to never do anything like that. So yeah, dude, it sounds good on your end. But no, normally we just do the regular intro. So I mean, I figured I'd toy with you a little bit there. So I guess the general, who you are, name, age, where you're from, all that good normal-ish.
Yeah, so my name is Austin Reed, and my tag is Reeve. I'm 25 years old. I'm getting to be an old man.
The older ones.
The older ones, yeah. So I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. It's just south, like, my city is like just south of Indiana. It's like 5 minutes away, so pretty close to there. I guess I main Marth in Melee.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What else do you want to know?
I mean, you go to school, you do anything after high school, all that?
Yeah, I have some college at U of L.
Okay.
And so the University of Louisville. It's a really nice campus and everything. A bunch of our local players play there, or they go to school there and everything. So,
you got any family members that ever played the game?
So my brother actually played. Like, we played casually growing up. My older brother Chris,
right?
And he used to, he was a big fan of Smash 64, and we started off playing that, and then obviously we got Melee like when it first released, and yeah, so he played casually, obviously, but he never got into the competitive scene or anything.
Was he? I guess we can jump to that immediately. So was it playing with him a lot that eventually made you want to take it competitively, or what got you into that?
Kind of, yeah, because so it was me and my brother, as well as like some of our family friends. He had a friend who also had a younger brother about my age, and we all played growing up, and it was always like train up, so whenever we go over to their house or whatever and hang out for the weekend, we'd all play together. And so I don't know, I think that was kind of my roots to get started on it, and then it kind of led me to becoming like whatever the best in your friend group. Everyone has the classic story on that.
Of course.
And then I just kind of stumbled upon the competitive scene just like right around the Doc era.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of by accident. But yeah, that definitely like laid the groundwork for sure.
You would consider yourself a Doc kid, actually? More of a Doc grown up?
Yeah, absolutely. A Doc adult for sure. Because I found the Doc probably a few months after it came out. And that's what, that's actually what got me into it.
Were you a Ken fan right from the beginning, or an Azin fan?
It's probably more of a Ken fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I fucking hated him. Oh my god.
Right, yeah, I know a lot of people did, but I just thought something about just being the best for that long just like was pretty crazy.
That's fair. That's actually, I can understand that. I don't know. I feel like, you know what it is, honestly? It's the YouTube comments section. After I saw it for like the second time through, I like look at the comment sections on some of these videos and just people pointing out some of the like rather dicky type things he would do.
Yeah, some
like
questionable things.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of like sitting there, I'm like, wow, yeah, Ken's a dick. I don't like it. And then like you kind of grow up and you're just like, oh, I don't really care anymore. Like, no, he was a god. He did so much,
Yeah, he was sick from what the Doc portrayed and everything, and
definitely
it was cool for sure.
Shoutouts to Samox for that. Also, stay tuned to the to the Twitters, boys. We got some updates coming soon about that anyway. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be so sick. So along that, you were playing with friends, obviously, and then the competitive aspect brings up. But what year are we thinking? I'm trying to think. What year would this have been that you were originally playing with like your brother, and then the competitive drive starts to hit a little bit more?
Oh man. Okay, so back in the day, I guess. I mean, like I said, we got the game on release.
So all the way back in 2000.
Yeah, all the way back, like early 2000s. Yeah, we were playing. Now, granted, like I didn't know anything about the game and any type of competitive elements or anything like that. I didn't know wave dashing, L canceling until I watched the documentary. So I played Link all those years up until then. So yeah, I was a Link main until I found the documentary when I switched to Marth.
You still bust out the Link anymore, or how's that? Is that a dead meme? That's a dead meme.
I think my Link my Link days are behind me for sure.
No! So. Oh, that's unfortunate, but that's actually really funny. So what eventually was it that made you want to play Marth? Was it watching the documentary and seeing Ken, or was it your own personal, maybe from like a tournament wanting to play Marth, something along those lines?
It was kind of a mix of things. I really liked the Fire Emblem series, obviously, and the older I got, I guess the more I kind of gravitated towards Marth, and then I saw how well he was considered, how good of a character he was considered, which I knew starting out I wanted to play a character that was viable and that was good, and so I wasn't like wasting my time and everything, or feel like I was wasting my time. And then like I said, I was a big fan of Ken, and I saw what he was doing with the character, and just saw the potential there. And he obviously was doing some crazy combos with Marth, so I was like, man, I want to do that. So I guess that's what kind of kicked it all off.
I feel that. I can indeed understand. And quickly to rewind on what you were saying there, you were saying you were a fan of the Fire Emblem series. Was that growing up as well? So you had always been playing Fire Emblem games? Were you an RPG fan type thing? Oh
yeah, super big RPG, like JRPG specifically. But
oh really?
I really enjoyed the Fire Emblem series, and I played it a lot in like high school. For the Game Boy Advance, Fire Emblem and Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. So I played those games quite a bit.
That's so crazy to like think about. I'm sorry to even cut you off. Like it's so crazy to think about you saying that, because like I'm trying to remember. It was in the Mango interview that you did where you referred to yourself as like the jock in high school. You had that jock persona. But a jock that was playing JRPGs. Let's go. Let's go.
No, I was definitely a rare breed. Like I had friends from pretty much every different walk of life. I kind of like was just a hybrid depending on, who I was hanging out with. I felt like I could relate to a lot of people.
Right.
And so I definitely was in the mix of a lot of different demographics.
That's awesome though. No, I love that. I love it. So when you start taking the game competitively, you watch the documentary, you start learning all these things. Was there anyone specifically that helped like mentor you or train you and maybe like push you to continue playing? Was there ever a time like you ended up taking a break, anything along those lines?
Yeah, so there were two people that come to mind when I think of like a mentor or like a trainer or something. So for those of you who've been around the scene for a long time or are a fan of speedrunning, you will probably recognize this name. Giano was a pretty famous Captain Falcon player from back in the day. He, up until like I started to get good, he was the best player in our state basically since anybody was keeping track of it, and he was the Kentucky hero, the Kentucky Captain Falcon main. Everybody knew. He's notorious for getting third at pound 2, I think it was. It was like the best placement that a Captain Falcon main had and it since Isaiah, and it lasted for a long time. Basically, lasted for years. So he was super sick. And whenever I was getting into the game, he was the best player by far in our city and our state and everything. Nobody really came close. And then as I started to kind of climb the ranks here and get better, me and him just kind of ended up becoming friends. We found out that we had a lot in common, a lot of similarities and stuff. So we ended up hanging out even going to the gym together. He was like my gym partner for a long time until he moved. Yeah, so
awesome.
Super cool guy. And basically our routine would be like play Smash for like 3 hours and then go to the gym. And that was almost every day for a pretty significant stretch of time. And I mean, I'm talking him just beating my ass for 3 hours. Like it took me so long to take a friendly. And so it was definitely the grind, but I attribute most of my success and how I improved at a pretty fast rate to Giano, especially early on. And then outside of Giano, I think the next person I think about when it comes to like a mentor would be Dart.
Yeah.
He's a Marth player from Chicago. He's recently moved to Germany for I believe he's in the Air Force, so he got relocated there.
Holy man.
So he still plays Smash, not as much, but he's a part of Team Spire. So shout outs to the team,
to the squad.
But yeah, I met him at I was a big fan of him, and I watched a bunch of his Marth, and I always felt like he had a pretty unique style. And I got to meet him and actually play some friendlies with him for the first time at the first Smash and Splash. And basically we sat down for like what ended up being like a 2-hour friendly session, and he was just showing me all kinds of Marth stuff. He told me that he felt like I had a lot of potential and everything. And so we ended up talking about a bunch of different Marth things, ways to improve. When he saw that I started streaming, he was in my stream a lot. And then we ended up just becoming good friends. And then we theorycraft Marth stuff all the time. And he's been kind of like a voice in the back of my head, trying to help me out along the way. So
that's sick. So Dart and Giano, hell yeah, those are some pretty good fucking mentors, I would say.
Absolutely. I got pretty lucky for people who have kind of coached me and guided me throughout my career.
Definitely. Are there any other competitive games that you ever messed around with or played that you think could accredit you to continuing to play Melee, or was it only Melee?
So the only thing that even remotely comes close was Halo. My friends and I were pretty competitive in regards to Halo. Like I went to a few tournaments and stuff. But comparatively speaking to Melee, I don't think I was anything special or anything. But that was probably the only game I was really ever, even somewhat competitive in.
Hey man, that game, what, they just did that online re-release, I think, of like the first one for PC. I got it, dude. The game is sick. I
saw actually someone ported over Halo 3 to PC, and they made like online servers where you could play with other people. I think 343 or Bungie or whoever owns Halo now, they shut it down. But while it was up, it looked pretty sick.
So that's exactly, I think, what I'm talking about. I don't think it actually Halo. I was literally playing it. I thought it was the original Halo.
Was it? Yeah, it may have been. I just remember seeing something about it.
Bungie's not happy about it. That's all I know. I haven't played it like since I saw. I think Summit 1G was the guy that was streaming it, and he got hit with the DMCA or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty much the big reason why I got shut down, was because everybody was streaming it on Twitch.
Yeah, which is so dumb. Like, come on, that game's been dead forever. It just got.
I know. I know it.
This is a conversation for another time. TLDR, Bungie, get your shit together. Come on.
All right.
Anyway, so moving on a little bit, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, is the fact that you are a Kentucky native. Were you born and raised Kentucky? Did you move there? All that.
Yep, born and raised. Yep, I've been in the same city my whole life.
Wow. Goddamn, I give you credit for that. I would get so pissed off being in the same area for too long. But
yeah, I'm kind of getting to that point, but honestly, like, my whole family's here, all my friends are here, so they keep me sane at least.
Hey, shoutouts to the fam. But, okay, so my point with that was the fact that Kentucky and some of these Midwestern areas are they're kind of hidden, A lot of these players that are good in these areas that can't always make it out to big events, can't always make it everywhere they want to go. They're kind of put into like this lower recognition area. Thankfully, you, along with some other players, even Cobb I heard of before even looking further into you for like research on the questions and stuff for today. I'd heard of Cobb, and I've heard of some other players out in the Midwest. What do you think about being a Midwestern player and how that relates to your progression in the rankings?
So I think naturally, players from regions like the Midwest are kind of at a disadvantage just from the lack of top player, experience that we have around us. So it always helps to have someone who's better than you and a bunch of people who are better than you that can push you to become better. So I think players from states like Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, like states around here, it is kind of hard for us to get that experience that we need to get better, as well as it's also kind of hard to get that exposure. I guess at big tournaments, like say for instance at in SoCal, at these SoCal tournaments, they're pulling thousands of viewers for any type of SoCal tournament, and you have like multiple top 100, top 50, top 20 ranked players. You have multiple of them. So I feel like naturally in that sense we're kind of at a disadvantage. But now with like net play and stuff, it's definitely better. Like I can play with players from Michigan with a decent connection, like Kalindi and KJH and I play all the time. And so training is definitely a lot different, and we're not nearly at as much of a disadvantage as we used to be.
Right.
But it still is kind of a struggle just to get to a tournament. Like I was just telling somebody the other day that, it's like I have to drive 3 hours just to get to any type of relevant tournament, So I think Full Bloom is the closest like big tournament that I can go to, and that's still over 2.5 hours away of driving. So
well, with that being the case, what do you think is most important in self-improvement? So you're in the middle of the Midwest. It's really difficult to get to these tournaments. You don't have the best. You have some great players around, sure, but you're stuck in this situation where you don't have some of the best of the best. You don't have these high level and high viewed tournaments. What do you think is most important in terms of self-improvement when you're with this situation?
I think definitely match analysis and watching other players and doing your own research online can get you can basically get you really far. And I think that a lot of players, if they invested more time into studying and to doing match analysis, it would really pay dividends for them.
For sure.
But so because you don't have the I guess the leisure or the, for lack of a better term, you don't have the ability to play these top players in person. So you're going to have to make do with what you can, and just watching them and trying to pinpoint their exact movement and like why they choose certain options and things like that. That's probably the best way to improve around here, unfortunately. And like I said, now with net play, you can get different matchup experience, and you can play players that you wouldn't normally be able to in real life and everything. But most of it's going to be at your own discretion, doing research on your own, and it takes a lot of discipline to stick to that, because it's not exactly the most exciting thing to do.
Right.
But I think it helps the most.
I think one thing that's really important as well is the idea that you brought up of match analysis. I think there are people that do it right, and there's people that do it wrong. For those that we're going to just assume are doing it wrong, what's one thing that you think is very crucial in doing match analysis to do? If that made sense. I don't know if that got a little scrambly.
No, I definitely see what you mean. I think the biggest mistake, well, first of all, when people watch themselves, I think there's two big mistakes that people make, and one is when coming from watching yourself or your own matches, they're too emotionally invested. It's hard for them to see things objectively. And I think if they would pay attention to more of just the characters that are on screen, and not so much that it was actually them playing, and get caught up in what actually happened, and take things as a learning experience rather than looking back and seeing it as yourself. And then as well as that, watching what your opponent does and your opponent's options. I think people kind of undervalue that as well, because they're mostly focused on what they're doing and what they could do differently. But a lot of it actually stems from what is your opponent doing? Like, what did they do to beat your option? What could you do differently to counter what they did? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then I think those are pretty important things.
Definitely. No, I bring that up just because I think there are a lot of people, honestly, that just do analysis wrong, and I don't think there's enough of what I'm trying to think of how I want to word it, but it's like there's not enough of people giving explanations on how they do analysis. Like, sure, there's probably like a bread and butter, this is how you should do analysis, et cetera, but every bread and butter is different for people, Some people can look at something and probably have like photographic memory. They know like, oh, this was the situation that I struggled with, I'll go practice this. Others don't even notice that situation. And there's just tons of different ways I think people can go about their analysis that I think hearing other people's versions of how they touch on it can be really helpful, and I'm really glad we got to hear yours.
Yeah, and one other thing about it is I think that it's funny. I don't think I'm like the best at match analysis or anything, or anywhere close, but I do think that it is kind of funny because I do match analysis on my stream from time to time or for my friends, and there's certain times where like I'll point out something to them that it's clearly a habit and it's a problem that they need to address.
Right.
But so like oftentimes they don't even realize that it's happening. Like they don't see the situation happening, like you said.
Yep.
And sometimes it takes a player who's looking at it differently, not even necessarily a better player. Usually the better players will see things differently.
Right.
But it just takes a different set of eyes to point some of these things out. So
Definitely.
A lot of times you won't even notice that you have these problems yourself until you have a better player or a different player just look at it and tell you what they think too. So I think that's another important factor.
The more something just gets drilled into your head, the more people are telling you maybe the same things that you've heard or maybe just a different way. It helps so much. I'm like huge into like Fortnite right now, and so like anytime I'm playing that game and I just forget to build something, I'm literally like, and like I die from it, I'm like almost yelling at myself. I'm like, why didn't you build? You should build. You should do this. Like, you gotta just literally drill things into your head and it'll get there. Don't worry, little sunflowers, you'll get there. So next thing I want to touch on here. Oh wait, we didn't totally finish up here. One more thing I wanted to get on was the topic of hidden bosses. So you were, we'll touch more on the MIOM later, but like you were right outside of top 100, which isn't technically like it. I guess it's technically an honorable mention more than a hidden boss. But these other known regions, like these Midwestern regions, are full of what I would imagine are hidden bosses. Another Kyoto sponsored this stream. Another Kyoto player, Alp, is someone I consider to be a huge hidden boss. He's a very talented fox from southern Texas, or an area down in Texas, the Rio Grande Valley. I can never remember where that is, but like that's an example of someone that's just a hidden boss, and these guys should not be like underestimated at these bigger tournaments. Who do you think are some of the biggest hidden bosses you've come across in your Midwestern Melee experience?
So I think obviously a hidden boss I think he was actually in the hidden boss section for the Melee Army, but would be the Peach player Cobb from Kentucky. He's super good. He's from my state. He's like one city over. He's been playing about as long as I have, maybe slightly less than I have, but he's been grinding a lot, and he's been trying to attend as much as he can, and he's definitely gotten a lot of top player wins under his belt. So he's super good, and I think people are starting to take more notice of him now, though. I think like one of the bigger hidden bosses from my region, as of now, it would be Zamu. He's a Fox player from Champaign, Illinois, and he's got several top 100 wins. He actually, this past weekend, he racked up 2 more top 100 wins with, he beat Dreffin and Cyrox. So,
Damn.
Super good player, and I think he's beaten Absent Page before. He's beaten Michael, Iori. He beat me last year, so...
What's his tag again? I'm sorry.
Zamu.
Zamu. Okay.
Yeah, he's on top of that, he's only like 17 years old. So
oh my god,
he's definitely somebody to watch out for. And yeah, he's really sick. He placed 5th, I believe, this past weekend at a pretty stacked regional tournament called House of Pain. It's in the city that he's from.
Oh my god.
But yeah, definitely a fox to watch. I teamed with him actually, so consider him a good friend of mine, somebody that I think has a pretty bright future as long as he sticks to it and
For
you know
sure.
doesn't let the stress of melee get to him too much.
Yeah, no, this game will hit you. But damn,
Yeah, for
that's
sure. But he's definitely on the right track.
That's awesome. Also, just checked the honorable mentions. You're 100% right. Cobb was right on that ballot. That's awesome. So congrats to him as well.
Yeah, he's definitely been making waves, and I'm glad that he's getting the attention. He's also on Team Spire as well, but I'm glad that he's getting the attention that he's earned, you know.
Man, all this talk about Team Spire, it's almost like, whoa, look at that. We're going to talk about Team Spire a little bit. So that's just one thing I wanted to touch on a little bit, because it seems like a very Midwestern organization, or something that is maybe even Kentucky specific. And my initial question is, what is it? What is it about? It seems like it's a group of friends, group of players that are just out here trying to rep a squad, rep a team. What's that about?
Yeah, so it started in Indiana, and it's basically, like you said, it's kind of like a Midwestern team. I don't think it necessarily started off that way, but it kind of just, from what I understand, it started off kind of like the homie thing, picking up who they could. Sure. Obviously, it's hard to, whenever you're first starting off into the whole esport thing, right. And you gotta start somewhere. And so slowly, you know, over time, they kind of reached out to bigger and better players and everything. And eventually they reached out to Cobb while he was kind of on his grind and improving. And then I know the owner pretty personally. He's a good friend of mine. Rubica is his tag. Super cool guy. He reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be a part of it, which, you know, I definitely had no issues with it. And he's treated us right from the very beginning. He's helped pay for a lot of our travel and our entry fees and stuff, just to do what he can to get us to events, to show, you know, what the Midwest and Team Spire in general are capable of.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Shout outs to him for that. Any big moves being made on that end that you could talk about? You guys planning anything big? I know you guys have social media and stuff like that. I'll make sure to plug in the description of the VOD when it's uploaded, but anything like that going on?
There are some plans in the works for sure. I can't really spoil too much, but definitely fair. Definitely trying to make some moves from what I understand. So
perhaps other games, maybe?
Maybe. I think right now we're focusing on Melee.
Okay.
But but definitely some changes on the horizon, I would imagine.
Awesome. Well, glad to hear about that. Make sure you guys check out more on Team Spire. They seem really cool. They got a good rep going for them already, and that's pretty awesome to begin with. So the next thing we're going to go into is something that's fond of the show now, because I don't know I don't know what episode of this season we're even on at this point, but you know what? It's not new to the show anymore. The Tournament Tales. And for you, the tournament we have chosen is Shine 2017, mostly because Shine 2018 is coming up on the horizon. I'm super hyped for it. I might actually be able to attend it, which is even more awesome. But along that is, in Tournament Tales, it's literally, what was your favorite moment, story, match? What did you think of the event? Anything that you got about Shine 2017, if you can remember so far ago. Yeah,
so I'll start off, you know, my trip to Shine was kind of last minute. It was so last minute that we chose not to buy plane tickets because how expensive they got from waiting that long.
Yikes.
So driving from Kentucky to Boston definitely was not the shortest drive in the world. Yeah. I think it was like 13 and a half hours or something like that. And then on top
straight
of that,
drive?
Straight drive.
Oh my
God. We stopped for, you know, a few times for food and stuff. All at once. And then on top of that, we ran into a really bad accident. There was a semi that tipped over and spilled a bunch of chemicals and all this stuff. So we sat in traffic for about 2.5 hours.
Polluting the damn world. Come on. That's
right.
Awful.
Yeah. So it was definitely the ordeal. We almost decided to turn around. It was just me and my friend Luigi Gauchard is his tag, and definitely my traveling buddy. But just us two, and we thought about turning around and coming home, but we stuck it out. So that was the beginning of our long trip to Boston. But so I thought the event was awesome. I thought so it was the second iteration of Shine, I believe. We didn't go to the one before in 2016, but it was a great tournament. It was also the first national to use UCF, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, I thought that was pretty great. I'm a big proponent of UCF and the controller fixes in general, so won't get into that too much. But yeah, I remember that being a big staple of the tournament. That was like one of the selling points. I plan to go to Shine 2018. I'd really like to, anyways. I plan to go to Smash and Splash as well as Shine and a few other tournaments. So I'm gonna try to get out to some of those big ones.
Were you at the first Smash and Splash, or were you at? Wait, I don't even know what number they're on now. So actually, I don't even know.
Yeah, I was at the first. I've been to every Smash and Splash, so this will be the fourth one. But yeah, I was at the first one. And yeah, as far as you said, favorite moment or story.
Yeah, literally favorite quintessential moment from that tournament.
I would say it really had nothing to do with my bracket. I think my favorite moment of the tournament was when my friend, like I just mentioned, Luigi Gauchard, he's probably my best friend. Whenever he beat Crush, that was probably the highlight or the big upset of that tournament. Because Crush, has definitely been making a name for himself, especially last year. He had a lot of crazy wins and proved how good he is and everything. And right in the midst of him showing off like how good he's gotten, Cody makes this upset, or Luigi Gauchard makes this upset, and it's probably the happiest I've ever seen him. And he's just gave him the old quick 2-0, I believe. And I remember I was getting ready for my pool match, and because we had pools at the same time, and he went off to play his match. Probably about 10 minutes later, he came like running over to me, gave me a huge hug. He was like, "I just beat Crush." I was like, "Are you serious?" So it was pretty wild. So I was really happy for him, and kind of made both of our weekends for sure.
That's definitely a memorable moment right there between friends. Holy moly.
Yeah, it was crazy. Awesome. I was super happy for him.
Damn. Well, congrats to Luigi Gauchard for that. I can't believe I didn't remember that. That was definitely oh my god, that was amazing.
Yeah, there was like a Reddit thread, about all the upsets, and that was like the most talked about one. They're like, "Are you sure this was recorded right?" And everything. So it was off stream, like just really subtle. Like nobody really nobody really saw it, but then they started talking about it online and everything.
Dude, the internet's a crazy place for that type of stuff. If they can find literally anything to blow up about, they'll just go on about it. Yes, they will. Yeah. So, moving on a little bit more to the community life, you've been doing a crap ton of streaming more lately. I see you online a lot. Is that something you're looking to pursue, maybe going into like not like full-time streaming, obviously, but like a good amount of part-time streaming for Melee? What's that looking like? Yeah, so I stream pretty much exclusively Melee and Netplay stuff. I'd like to eventually branch out and stream other games, but as of now, almost all my streaming is based around Melee, and I've been streaming for a while, but it's been only since like pretty recently since I've taken it super seriously and tried to grind out to get the Twitch partnership and everything. And I really am committed this time to growing my stream and to make streaming like a regular thing for me. Right. I think the first 2 weeks of this month was like my first like real big kind of resurgence to streaming and everything. And I streamed in those 2 weeks. I streamed over 60 hours. Holy moly. It was definitely a healthy amount, and it's the most I've streamed in any month since I started, really. And I took a little time off before, at the beginning of this year, but now I really am planning to make it a pretty much like a part-time thing. And I'm going to stream as much as I can into a regular schedule. As well as my other part-time job, and then traveling to tournaments and everything. But I'm going to try to, stream as much as I possibly can. That's awesome. Where the stream is Reeve _, for those that might not know. Twitch.tv/Reeve_. Yep. For sure. Make sure you check that out as we're still going on here. Make sure you drop that follow, drop a sub if you got the means of doing so. And appreciate that. What was I going to touch on with that? You doing like match analysis, strictly playing? What are you focusing on? Right now I'd say majority of my streams are Netplay streams. But yeah, I definitely want to get into match analysis.
I would be down to do it for anybody, but I would prioritize subs, obviously, to give them some incentives. And so I also do, I guess I forgot to mention this, I also do gym streams. So like IRL, like I go to the gym and yeah, like usually like once or twice a week, I'll do a gym stream where, so if you're into like personal training or physical fitness at all, you know, I have people pop in and ask about form, ask about routines and stuff. And I kind of just try to make it strictly about the, you know, one of my other passions, lifting and stuff. So
that's actually awesome. That's a good segue into something I meant to touch on this. I don't know, I must have missed it in the notes actually. It's the fact that you do a good amount of, you know, like, do you even lift, bro? You do a good amount of lifting, you do a good amount of working out, all that good stuff. Now, normally, like, it's like weird to say like, what, you keep yourself in good shape and shit like that, but like, honestly, being a competitive gamer and being someone that takes gaming to a competitive level, do you see working out and keeping yourself fit like this and having this other drive for motivation towards something that you're passionate about, do you find it to help or to maybe hinder your melee growth?
I think it absolutely 100% helps in a lot of different ways. And I honestly think that people would get a lot from being like trying to be physically fit or active. A lot of gamers and like especially melee players and stuff, we have a tendency to let our physical health and our physical condition kind of slack off.
Team beer.
Team beer. Like, yeah, I'm definitely team beer, but you know, you got to have your limits too, and try to take care of myself as much as possible.
Right.
And you know, physical health goes hand in hand with mental health too.
For sure.
And these tournaments are long, man. These tournaments on Saturdays and stuff are like 12-hour long. You know, you want to be in tip-top shape physically and mentally when you're competing, because it's just scientifically proven to get the best results. You want to feel good. You want to have energy. So I think they definitely can go hand in hand.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I could totally understand that. I would much rather play against someone that, you know, is not smelling and giving off the weird odor of they just ate like half a bag of chips or some shit. I don't know. I could totally understand that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just good to, I mean, you only get one body, you know, as cliche as it sounds. So it's good to, not everyone's perfect, obviously, and we can't, you know, stay completely on top of it, have a perfect diet, perfect, you know, gym routine and everything. But as much as you can, just try to take care of yourself, and it'll pay off in the long run.
Listen, man, a 4 for $4 is $4 for 4.
I know, man. The fast food thing it's a killer. That's actually what I've been struggling with lately. Is I'm so lazy to cook my own meals, you know. Yep. So the fast food thing is so tempting, but it adds up quick, man. It adds up real quick.
Doesn't help that they keep cheapening it. Why does it gotta rot?
Right, I know. Why does all the worst food for you is the cheapest? It's
honestly terrible. Like, come on, someone make a fast food that's not bad for. Is that even possible? I don't.
It's pretty rare.
It's so sad, and it's all expensive if it's not. Oh god. Anyway, so next thing I want to touch on, as I was talking about a little earlier, was the MIOM rankings. You're just like, I think 0.2 points away from getting that 100th spot, which it's a heartbreaker, but hey, 101 Dalmatians is better than 100 Dalmatians. So I know there was the talk with Mango where you said you were nervous originally about this whole thing and how you were worried maybe you won't get on, maybe you will get on, what my number will be, if it really matters, all that stuff. So first thing I want to ask was how did you feel once the numbers finally got released and you saw?
When it first came through, I was disappointed, but also relieved that it was over. Like the anticipation was, you know, it was pretty killer.
Right.
So I was glad that the whole process was over, but I was definitely let down a little bit disappointed.
Sure.
I had a chip on my shoulder and everything. Felt a little bit, you know, I didn't want to like point fingers at anybody or anybody that was included in the Melee on Me voting panel or in the voting process. I felt a little bit disrespected. Like, my accomplishments through the year was kind of kind of undervalued. But I also understand how hard of a process this was to rank, all these players, especially around that range. Because I do think when looking at it, like rank 85 all the way through the honorable mentions, you can kind of mix and match people. Definitely. So everyone's a very similar skill level right around there. So. Definitely. So I don't hold anything, I don't hold any grudges or anything like that. But it did kind of give me the motivation for this year to kind of solidify myself to do everything I need to do to not even leave it up in the air this time around. Just solidify it. Like, there's no question that I'm top 100 this year,
Yep. That's the perfect follow-up to what have you been doing as far as motivation to push yourself even further. What have you been doing?
So, obviously I've been streaming a lot. I've been trying to play net play and solo practice way more than I did last year, especially the latter half of last year. I kind of slacked off a bit. So I'm trying to just stay as focused as possible and trying to go to as many tournaments around here as possible. Like I said, I want to get out to Smash and Splash, Evo, Shine, a bunch of different tournaments. I went to Genesis and placed 49th there. So it's definitely a good start to the year. So I think just going and getting to play as many top players as I possibly can and going to as many big tournaments and to get these top 64 placements and get these upsets on top players, as many as I can get, just to kind of prove that I'm worth that top 100 spot. For sure.
I would assume, I know there's a Discord for like everything nowadays, like literally anything. There's probably like a poop art like Discord that people probably post in or something. But I'm assuming, do you do like conversations with other Marth players as far as like notes and stuff? I know you were saying you talked with Dart, but with the idea that he's probably out in Air Force or military, whichever it was you were saying, like I can only imagine that conversation can only last so long.
So I don't have I'm actually not a part of any like Marth Facebook groups or any R&D groups or Discord groups or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know. Now that you mention it, I should probably get on that. But I try to talk to Marth mains like IRL as much as possible.
Sure.
And kind of theory craft. And then I have a lot of Marth mains who pop into my stream and we talk about stuff. But as far as like any type of researching and discussions with other Marths, I don't really get into it too much.
Do you have you think you have your own ways of doing things? You think like your style is going to work for you, and talking with others might maybe change it, or what's your mentality on that?
I think well, kind of. I mean, I don't think it would necessarily hinder or hurt me in any way talking to other players, but I do feel like I have my own style compared to a lot of Marths. For sure. And some things I think that I do are for sure not optimal, and some things I think a lot of Marths could, not saying anything special or anything like that, but they could take a note from, and I think there's things that they could implement to help their game that I do that, others haven't really got on board with yet. But I think I just have a particular style that a lot of people don't play, very similarly to. So when you think of a typical Marth main, I think I'm about as opposite as it comes. So
I mean, yeah, we got a jack dude that's just beating the hell out of people with a character that some call is lame, but is also at the same time sick. It's kind of
right. Yeah, I've always said that like Marth has the potential to be the sickest character in the game and like one of the hypest for sure.
Oh yeah.
But just the way most people play him kind of embarrasses me, just because of how one-dimensional they play. So honestly, not gonna point any names or anything.
Yeah, no, we don't need too many shots fired. Honestly, though, like I've heard that, and like I want to agree, and I think the problem comes to where like it's hard to name a character that doesn't hit, and I think the only one that really comes to my mind anymore is Fox, and I think I think it's just kind of like you can play Fox sick, but like it's either everyone's trying to play Fox sick, or you think you're playing Fox sick, but you're really not. Right? Like any other character can be dope, dude.
Yeah. There's definitely like you can be so creative in Melee with just about any character,
Exactly.
especially the top tiers. But a lot of people choose the standard route, the easy route, the guaranteed things. And I don't know. I think I took a lot of inspiration from Mango and just the way he plays Melee. Like he just goes off of the feel and kind of is, I don't know, he expresses himself through the game. And I feel like a lot of people could take a note out of his book in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. I think the whole play to win versus play for you should definitely start being like way more thought about.
Like I don't know. I think the wins will come obviously when you find your own style. Exactly. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a video game, you know. Yeah. Like I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to make the crowd go wild. You know, I'm trying to all while win. Obviously, like I'm gonna try hard for sure, but I want to do it my way. You know.
I can definitely back that like 100%. Oh my god, yes, that is literally it. And so my last thing that I was really going to touch on here, and this goes back to MIOM a little bit, was so if you were to put a year to it, how long do you think you've been playing competitively? How many years? I
can almost give you the exact date. It was, so 2014, the very beginning of 2014. So Apex of that year, I always get the Apexes mixed up because it's like at the beginning of the year, I believe. Right. It used to be in January.
Yeah.
So it was the year that, let's see, it was PP and Mewtwo King and Grands. So whichever year that was.
2014.
That was 2014.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the first major that I ever watched. And so that was the tournament that kind of really exposed me to a lot of top players. I remember watching like the Amsa Kage exhibition.
Oh my god, that was so good.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then like, all the other stuff that kind of went along with it. So that was the first tournament that I watched, and I specifically remember like learning about Dr. PP or PPMD, that tournament. And then, obviously the Mango Leffen set, the 4-stock at the end.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so super hype tournament, and that was pretty much all she wrote for my competitive career. Like it was, hit the ground running after watching that tournament.
Okay, so the reason I was bringing that up is because now we're in 2018. It only took you 3 years to hit this top 100 ballot, which is still freaking insane. And now we got 2018 right now where you've already been making moves. You're already making these plays. So I guess my question was not so much of like how do you intend to improve, but like you're improving and you're gonna keep this up to where do you think 2018 is the Reeve year? This is your year, man?
I hope so, man. I think I'm off to a good start. I've had a few like questionable losses, but I also have a lot of solid wins so far. People that a lot of people didn't expect me to beat and everything. So I'm pretty confident with how the year's been going at this rate. Definitely a lot more ups than down compared to previous years. And then, the way I'm playing, I'm doing a lot of tweaking to my game, and so it's kind of like a learning process and trying to implement that in tournament. But I'm trying to kind of take a few steps backwards and then to take more steps forwards and kind of rebuilding my game and everything. But I'm really liking the way things have been coming along so far. I really honestly, objectively speaking, expect a lot of big things out of myself this year.
Sure.
And I think it would be, without this sounding like cocky or anything, I think it would be surprising if I wasn't ranked top 100 this year.
Hey, dude, that's not even cocky. That's confidence. That's what that is right there.
Yeah, I just have, I believe in myself, and, I want to prove to everyone what I think I'm capable of, and I just want to show that, I got a lot to prove. So
hell yeah. I got faith in you, man. I'm sure Spire's got faith in you. I'm sure your fans got faith in you. And I can't wait to see it happen. I feel like I've been slurring my words a lot today, but my God, Thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming on, man. I'm all out of questions. I mean, dude, the rest this time right here, this is all you. Anything you want the people to follow you on, to check you out, anything you got coming up, all that stuff, anything Reeve based. This is all you right here, man, if you got anything.
Cool, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. So I guess you can follow me on twitch.tv/Reeve_ is my Twitch stream. You can also follow me at ReeveIsMe on Twitter and on YouTube. I post like combo videos and some highlight videos. I'm not super active on YouTube, but I'm obviously pretty active on Twitch and Twitter. So if you guys want to follow me or get updates or anything like that, or see some more Marth play, then you guys can check me out there. As far as tournaments I'm going to, Smash and Splash 4 is probably the next big thing. And then, I'll kind of play it by ear from then on. I was thinking about going to Pound Underground, which I hear is in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was sneaking up that soon, but I'd like to go to that.
Would highly recommend. I hear a lot of good things coming about that right now.
Yeah, it's kind of, I feel like it's been under advertised because I went to Pound, whichever, I guess Pound 4,
Pound 5,
whatever
right?
it was.
Wasn't it Pound 5, the last one or something?
I guess so. I lose track of the numbers.
So many pounds.
But it was, it was the one, the most recent Pound.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think this is supposed to be the successor to that. So I'd like to go. I mean, it's in driving distance, so I'd like to go for sure.
Awesome.
But,
well, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Sorry, I keep cutting in, but yeah, everything that he just linked to will be in the description of the VOD for this. Make sure you go check him out. Follow the stream if you like the content here. I don't care. You do, you guys. I love you all for stopping by nonetheless. Reeve, again, thank you so much for coming on, my man. It's been a pleasure getting to talk to you tonight. Hope you all enjoyed the stream as well. Hope you had a great night, everyone. Peace out and have a great night. Good night.
Yep. Thanks, guys.